so excited that you've taken time out to tune in to the Ella Johnson Show. I hope you enjoy the broadcast. So sit back, relax, and I'll see you at the end of the show. One day someone asked me, Ella, why do you do talk shows? Like, why is this so important to you? I said, because I want people to know that God does use us. Because sometimes things don't happen to you. They happen through you. And now it's time for the Ella Johnson Show, where we set the table for real talk conversations. So stay tuned. It's all coming up next. The Ella Johnson Show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ella Johnson Show. We are back. Listen, from here on, we're going to do domestic violence shows because the Ella Johnson Show is committed to awareness for domestic violence because it's such an important and it's a very serious situation that's going on in our country, and it's been going on for quite a while. So as you can see, I have a full house tonight. We have a gigantic story that we have to unpack tonight. So I am excited that you guys are here. One thing I do want to say, though, if we're going to define what domestic violence is a pattern of behavior in any relationship, and it's used to gain or maintain power and control in that intimate relationship. It can be all kinds of abuse, like it could be psychological, sexual, emotional, financial, economic. It can be stalking. All kinds of abuse exists. You don't have to get hit for it to use domestic violence, is what I'm trying to say. It can happen to anyone. Doesn't matter your race, doesn't matter your gender, your faith, your class. None of that matters. It can happen to you. It can even happen to a child. Now that we've discovered what domestic violence really is, let me tell you what it isn't. It isn't love. And that's where we get confused sometimes, because we think that when someone is making a fuss about us, that it's love. Now, tonight's story is going to move you. And I want it to, because if you are in a situation that you know that you do not need to be in, I need you to watch this show. I need you to pray about it. And I need you to get out before it's too late. The reason I started doing domestic violence shows is because my cousin, I had just seen her for Thanksgiving, and 3 days later, she was dead as a result of a domestic violence situation that none of us knew. So what that means is that some of you are suffering in silence, which is the title of tonight's broadcast, suffering in silence. And we don't want that. There's nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing to be, just upset about. We want you to come here and tell your story, be honest about it, because you're going to leave different than you came when you come here to the Ella Johnson Show. So I want to get that out of the way. Now, I want you guys to meet all of my friends that have joined us tonight. Of course, we have Jennifer. Jennifer is an old-time Ella Johnson Show participant. Not only does she have all these letters at the end of her name, but she's actually my friend, right?
Yes.
Jennifer is a community activist. She is a journalist, an amazing journalist, actually. She's a licensed counselor. She has been widely recognized as one of Texas's leading DWI education and intervention instructors. She has a strong commitment to social justice. She's the one that broke this story about Fernanda. And of course, she shared it with me. And that's why we are here tonight as a result of her efforts. So welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, Jennifer, again.
Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
the woman of many words. She's a writer.
Thank you for letting me come on again.
Of course, always, always. Then we have Fernanda. Fernanda is our survivor who is going to share her story tonight. Let me tell you guys something about this beautiful young woman. We're going to start from 2016 and we're going to take you to the present time. Over a span of 9 years, she has been through hell and back. Imagine going into a relationship thinking that this is it. This is going to be the love of my life. This is going to be it. I have a kid with him. We're going to just walk into the sunset until that's not what it is. And that's what happened here. Now, the heartbreaking thing about this is that she did go through sexual abuse, psychological, all of it. She went through a gamut of abuses in this relationship. But the most heartbreaking one is what she endured from her abuser's mother and how that has affected her son. You're going to hear all about it. Welcome to the Ella Johnson Show, Fernanda.
Thank you.
Isn't she beautiful? Right?
Yes.
Muy bonita. Listen, I was back here backstage trying to talk Spanish. Right? I tried, Jennifer. But welcome, Fernanda. I just want to thank you so much for being brave and telling your story here on the Ella Johnson Show. And then we got her peeps in the house, right? Karen and Diana. Say hello to everybody, guys.
All the way from Michoacán, Mexico.
Saludos.
Huh?
Saludos. Saludos. Greetings.
She said greetings.
Greetings, greetings. So tonight I want you guys to be patient with us because we have interpreters here and they're going to kind of interpret because I want to make sure and say hello to the family in Mexico and California. Just thank you guys for being here tonight and support your family. And we just want to make sure that you guys get all the love and bring awareness to this story. So welcome to the family. And I promise you, we're going to interpret as we go so that you guys are aware of what's being said. So interpret that, Karen, what I just said.
Ok. Saludos a la familia de México y de California. Yo les voy a estar traduciendo en español y las cosas que Fernanda diga en español las voy a traducir en inglés. Y bienvenidos. Gracias por estar viendo y por su apoyo.
So I want you guys to see that whenever someone leaves us a comment on the show, I will bring it on the screen like this, okay? And it looks like people from Africa. I have a lot of fan base over in Liberia, and they're watching tonight. Thank you guys so much. We're actually airing it live on one of the channels as well in Liberia. So this story is going to be in Liberia, West Africa, okay? So thanks to everyone that has tuned in tonight. I definitely want to thank you, Jennifer, for breaking the story. It is a big story. I told Fernanda today, I said, listen, I can already see the movie. It has too many twists and turns. If not a movie, definitely a book, right? But you endured this. So I want to jump right in because I want to make sure that we go through a timeline and everyone that's watching this broadcast understands exactly what happened to you. Let's start in 2019. In 2019, talk to me about your abuser and how you guys met, Fernanda.
Okay, so we met on a dating app, and we started dating. We met when I was 16. He was 22, and al principio de la relación, él empezó a ser muy celoso conmigo. Yo trabajaba en un restaurante mexicano y él los fines de semana, él iba y se parqueaba enfrente del restaurante para estarme espiando. Y si yo me tardaba como un rato con un cliente o así, me decía, ¿por qué te tardaste? De seguro le pasaste tu número, ¿verdad? Y cuando yo salía de trabajar, me apretaba las piernas, me apretaba los brazos y me decía, le estabas coqueteando. ¿Por qué le pasaste tu número?
So they met when on a dating app when she was 16 and he was 23?
22.
22. So she was 16, he was 22. And she did notice since the beginning of the relationship that he started to become very like jealous and accuse her of things such as when she used to work at a Mexican restaurant. On his days off, he would park outside where he could watch her through the glass door, and he would just be watching every interaction that she had with any customers. And after work, he would like grab her really hard, like her arm or her thigh, and say like, why did you give him your number? You probably gave him your number. Whenever she would write maybe like their cuenta, write out their receipt, he would accuse her of these things and be very jealous.
Very typical domestic violence behavior. Very typical, Fernanda. So moving along, he was displaying this. Now I want to bring attention to a situation here. She was 16 years old. He was 22 years old. She was
and
a
he was
minor.
part of the army as well. He was
And he's in the army. Okay. Now I take pause on that because that is something that should definitely be brought out. I really do believe that. And based on my conversation with Fernanda, I learned that he created a fake ID so that she was able to get on the barracks. Fraudulent. Okay. And he's in the military. Let's not forget that. Okay. So I want to make sure we get through everything, Fernanda. So where did that lead when you were living with him? Talk to us about the pregnancy.
Okay, so back then I was a junior in high school, and he didn't want me to be around guys because he was always like jealous or think that they were flirting with me or vice versa. So he got like so control into me that he took me out of high school to live with him in the barracks, and I lived with him there for about 5 months. And there was days, where he will go to the fields and he will go for like 4 or 5 days, and I was locked in his room. And when he would go to work too, he will put tape on his door for me to not be able to like go out, or to make sure that no guy came inside the room with me.
That's crazy. Speak on it, Jennifer. That's crazy. You're muted.
Sorry.
Okay.
I was just
Okay.
saying things continue to escalate from there for her, and you have a child that is still in the growing stages of her life. It's she doesn't know the difference. She doesn't know that this is domestic violence, and you have a person that is in the military, and people in those positions are held to a higher standard because of their roles, and because of how other people look at them, the authoritative roles and the control that they can have. Unfortunately, a lot of people failed Fernanda because several people were informed of what was going on, including, I think, it was one of his sergeants, and it continued. They ended up having a child together, and the mom got involved, and the mother,
yeah,
the mother's been just as abusive, if not worse. They've been stalking her. They put air tags on her belongings. They have been they've had a private investigator following her for the past 3 years now. Things that normal people don't do. And
exactly.
as I explained to Fernanda, because she was really scared, justifiably, right? But
Absolutely.
as I explained to her, like, this is something that you have to talk about, and you have to face this, because on one end, so you have everything that's been filed in the court, everything that has been given to the attorneys, but nothing that has anything that Fernanda has said. So what happens? The judge, by default, gives these people what they want and makes everything as if it's true. All the allegations against her, because she hasn't been.
We're gonna get that. We'll get to that, because that is in itself crazy. but I want to make sure we follow the timeline because I want to unpack this story so you guys can see exactly what happened. So now Fernanda is pregnant. You got pregnant. And I do understand that he did not want the baby. What did he do to you, Fernanda, to try to hurt this baby while you were pregnant?
Okay, so when I found out I was pregnant, a friend from my coworker, they found out as well, and he was in the military. So this guy went and told his sergeant that he had gotten a minor pregnant, and he didn't want the baby, and he kicked me out of the barracks when I was pregnant. And he will tell me that the baby was gonna ruin his future. He wanted me to have an abortion, and I remember that day he hit me and he slapped me, and he like made scratches in my body. And whenever I was walking down the stairs, another a guy from the military, he saw me and he took me to his room, and he gave me a shirt to change because I was wearing a white shirt, and I had like blood all over my shirt. And then I went home with a coworker, and when I was 3 months pregnant, like 2.5, 3 months, he went to visit me, and we were arguing because I didn't want to have an abortion, and I remember that he kicked me down the stairs, with the intention of killing the baby.
Interpret, Karen, for the family.
Okay, so Fernanda cuando iba en su tercer año de preparatoria, el papá de su hijo la sacó de la preparatoria para llevarla a vivir al base militar con él. Había hecho una identificación falsa para que ella pudiera vivir allí porque todavía era menor de edad. Y allí también ella sufrió abusos de él, la trataba mal, era muy celosa con ella, no la dejaba salir. Y pues estuvo viviendo con él unos meses y Fernanda salió embarazada. Y cuando alguien del militar se enteró, le dejaron saber a un sargento y el sargento habló con el papá del niño. Y cuando él se enteró, esto se enojó mucho, le dijo a Fernanda que iba a arruinar su futuro por esto, que él no quería tener el bebé, que lo abortara, y se puso violento con Fernanda, la sacó de allí donde vivía con él, la corrió de allí, y saliendo de allí la vio otro muchacho que estaba en el militar y la ayudó a ella, la llevó a su cuarto, le dio una camisa para cambiarse porque la de ella estaba llena de sangre de lo que le había hecho el papá del niño. Fernanda se fue.
So I wanna get us on down a little bit more here. So Fernanda has dealt with this abuse. She has gone back and forth, and like Jennifer said, she's getting into it with the family. So at this point, Fernanda decides to leave. Her aunt, she told them, because they threatened lots of things to the family. They threatened to bring harm to her family. So if you're 16, 17 years old and someone is telling you this, you're thinking differently because you don't have experience enough to know what your rights are. If you have rights, all she knows is that she needs to protect her family. So she takes her son, goes back to California with the family. And then once you're back in California, Fernanda, talk to us about how the baby daddy, that's what we're gonna call him. We're not even gonna call his name, the baby daddy, because that's what she calls him. Talk to us about what the baby daddy did once you went back to California, because this is very typical as well. Talk to us about that.
Okay, so I went to California. I was 7 months pregnant. I wasn't in need help whenever I gave birth to the baby. I needed to be around my family, and I remember like as soon as I went back, this guy, he started going on like dating apps and everything, and okay, le dices eso que él se iba en esas cuentas y él chateaba con gente y a mí me hacía creer que era yo la que yo le ponía los cuernos a él.
Es cuando todavía quería que regresaras con él, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so she had came to California to be with us. She was 7 months pregnant at the time, so she needed our support. And so she had left that situation, but he reached out again, wanting to get back together with her, say, and still at this time accusing her of cheating, but he was the one doing the cheating.
Okay, so whenever I give birth to the baby, and I was, in the hospital, I remember, and I have like the message of this, because these people, they're racist, like they're really racist against like Mexican and, my family. I remember the baby, he came out with like black eyes, and he started saying that that wasn't his baby, that I had cheated on him, that how could his baby come out with black eyes, that meant that I had cheated on him, and that wasn't his baby. And again, then he manipulated me to go back with him, to saying that he was sorry about everything. And I flew back to Kentucky with him, and he had to do a DNA test to the baby, because he always believed that I was the one cheating on him. But in reality, I feel, now I understand things better. The one who actually cheated on me, it was him, and he will blame me and put me down, so he wouldn't feel as guilty for doing, all those things behind my back.
So I want to give you guys a visual, because I want you to interpret what she just said. But while you're doing that, I want to show a visual of just some of the things that Fernanda has talked about. These are some of the pictures that she sent me of what he was doing to her. These are some of those photos. Okay, now you can interpret, Karen, what we're saying.
Okay, so llegó un punto donde el papá del niño convenció a Fernanda que se regresara a vivir con él bajo la ilusión de que iban a ser una familia y todo, pero de todos modos continuó el abuso y la acusaba de serle infiel. Le dijo que cómo el bebé iba a salir con ojos negros. Ese niño no es mío. Llegó al punto que le tuvo que hacer un test de ADN para comprobar que sí era de él.
Okay, so where we are now, this guy has, and guys, listen, this is very typical when people are in a domestic violence situation. They coerce you to do things. This baby daddy coerced her to go back to Texas. So she goes back to Texas. And tell us what happened when you made it back to Texas, Fernanda. What did they say to get you there, and what happened?
Okay, so whenever I went back, he was still stationed in Kentucky. He had 1 month to finish his contract, and I was staying, with my coworker there, and the abuse, still continued. He would yell at me in front of the baby. He will slap me. He would pull my hair. He always wanted to go through my phone, because he always had that mind of me cheating on him. And there is a police report that was made by the neighbors on that occasion, because the neighbors saw how he was like pulling me and pulling my hair and screaming at me whenever I was holding the baby. After he finished his contract, that's when we moved to Texas with his mom. The baby was 3 months old, and we lived with her mom for a couple months. And I did. The mother-in-law told me, that I remember she told me that she wanted to be a mother again, and she was thinking of adopting a child with her husband. And I, by the days passed, and I started to see that this lady, she started to act like she was the mother of my baby. And on multiple occasions, I remember, when the baby would cry, she will push me, or she will hit my hands for me to not be able to like hold up the baby. She always wanted to feed him, shower him, or bathe him. And at that time, I thought like it was maybe just normal for her to do all those things. That is just because she cared about the child. But in reality, what was going through her head is that she was the mother of the baby.
She was sleeping with the baby. She
She was
was
the
getting
baby.
upset with Fernanda when she tried to chastise him. It was just unbearable, guys. Just imagine you're here with your baby trying to take care of him. I want to share some things too, because I want you guys to hear this quick video and tell us what this is all about, Fernanda.
Phone, yes or no?
You're gonna do what?
Brake check the car with the fucking baby in it.
Ok, so me traduces esto. Esa ocasión estábamos discutiendo porque él quería revisar mi celular. Y yo le dije, sabes que ya no vas a revisar mi celular, estoy harta de que siempre pienses que te estoy poniendo los cuernos. Y estamos discutiendo, yo estaba enfrente. Y él me empezó a decir que si yo no le enseñaba mi celular iba a chocar el carro y lo iba a chocar y nos iba a matar a los tres. So, en cuanto él me dijo eso, yo me fui para atrás del carro y agarré al bebé. Puedes mirar en el video que I'm in the back seat. Yo agarré el bebé y fue cuando empecé a grabar y le dije, ¿qué es lo que dijiste que ibas a hacer? Y fue cuando dijo eso en el video.
Okay, so on this occasion they were arguing because he was trying to go through her phone like he always did, but this time she stood up for herself and she said, no, you're not going to go through my phone. I'm tired of you always accusing me of cheating on you. I'm not going to let you go through my phone. And so he told her, if you don't let me go through your phone, I'm going to crash the car and kill all three of us. And that's when she hopped into the back seat with the baby and she grabbed the baby because she wanted to make sure he was safe and started recording and asked him to repeat himself. And that's when he said, I'm going to brake check the car. I'm going to brake check with the baby in the car. That's all she was able to record. But that just goes to show.
And for those people who think that she didn't try hard enough, I want you to look at this text message that went back and forth between them. And she's clearly telling him that, leave me alone. I want to be done with you. He's like, shut up. Why? Block me and I'll keep calling my mom. I want you guys to look at that. Block me and I'll keep calling my mom, which shows who's really running the show here. And you see their conversation going back and forth. She's telling him to leave me alone and just respect it. Don't call me. Don't text me anymore. So she's trying to get out.
Ok, cada vez que yo lo quería dejar, pues él me manipulaba y me decía, te prometo que no lo voy a volver a hacer, te prometo que ya voy a cambiar. Y yo, pues en su momento, yo le creía y yo creía que debía de estar con él porque él era el papá de mi hijo.
She said
So
every time
anytime.
oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
She just said that every time that she would try to leave him, that he would manipulate her into believing that he was going to change. You know, it was the last time. I'm sorry. I love you. And, you know, for one, because she has very strong family values, her thoughts were, you know, this is the father of my child. I need to give him another chance.
Yeah, absolutely. Ask Diana if she wants to say something right now. Because I know she doesn't. She's not.
¿Quieres comentar algo ahorita, tía Diana?
Todo eso que él te decía era manipulación.
She just said it, all of that he was saying is all that he was saying to her was just, it was just all manipulation.
Yeah.
Okay, I do want to bring something up. When we moved to Texas with the baby and, you know, with my mother-in-law, my family, they weren't aware of the abuse. I lived with him because I was scared. Like I wasn't even like allowed to talk to my family or to like my guy cousins because he always thought, you know, there was something there. So my family never knew about the abuse that me and him were going on. And I remember on one occasion, I felt like I needed to speak up and tell someone. And I told the mother-in-law everything that was going on. And I told her, your son hits me. And I told her everything. And I remember like she just stayed quiet and she didn't do it. anything. She didn't do anything to protect me or to tell him to stop. It just continued, and she was also in some type of way like abusing me whenever she will like hit my hand. So I get it where it comes from, where the abuse comes from.
Very key, very key. Now I want you, let's flip over to in January 2022, Fernanda. His mother reached out because now you're back in either California or Mexico. You're away from them, and the mom reached out to you. What did she reach out to you for?
You said on January of 20.
January of 2022. I guess she was reaching out to you because she wanted to see the baby. You had taken the baby
Cuando te
back.
dijo que prestara el niño.
Do you want me to mention what happened on 2021 too? Whenever I came to Texas, and
Yes, let's talk about that. Let's talk
okay,
about that. Absolutely.
okay. So I'm gonna try to summarize it, but on January of 2021, I remember that we had went out, and when we came back home, we start arguing about the same thing. He said I was cheating and all that, and I remember he had slapped me and he pulled my hair in front of the baby. So I did call the cops on him. For the first time, I was so like tired of it. I got tired that he started to do it in front of the baby, and he didn't care. And even though that people say, oh, they're babies, they know, and they get
Absolutely.
traumatized too. So the next day after that had happened, I told my tia Diana what was going on, and the first thing she did was to get me flight tickets to go to Mexico. She said, you don't have to go through that. That's not okay. That's not healthy. So I was in Mexico for 4 months with my baby. Um, and then after that time passed, he reached out to me again saying that he had changed, that he wanted to be a family this time, that he was gonna get help and all that. And when he convinced me, I flew back here to Texas. And this, I didn't know this, but he was already in a relationship. And I remember that we drove to his mom's house, and that's when he like broke down and he told me, I'm sorry, but when you left, we went to talk to an attorney, and the attorney told us that we needed to lie to you to bring you up here so we can see the baby. And he also mentioned that his mom told him that if he didn't lie to me, to bring me up here, that he was going to take his car away, and she was going to stop giving him money. That's when
That
I went.
is unbelievable. So
That's
he
when,
lied to you
yes,
as a result of what his mom wanted to get you back there
yes,
just so they could see the baby, pretty much.
yes.
All right. So at this point you left and went back.
I
And
went,
then
yeah, I
what
was back to California. Like
Right.
I was there for like 3-4 days, and I returned back to California with my baby.
And the
And
mom reached out, and what did she have to say?
that's whenever months passed, and she reached out to me, and she wanted to see the baby, and I was like, okay. In my heart, I thought these people change. And I remember my mom too, she would tell me that I needed to forgive these people, because at the end of the day, they were also the other part of the family of my son.
Wow.
And I reached out, and we agreed on the baby for coming to Texas for a month, about a month and a half. And that time passed, and everything seemed okay. There was no problem, and I flew to pick him up. And then I went to Mexico so my mom could see the baby. And then I flew back to California to keep working. And that's the mom reached out saying that she missed the baby, that she wanted to see him. And I was like, okay, well, nothing happened the first time. Everything's good. She seemed really friendly with me. So then we agreed for the baby to come up here. And whenever I flew to Texas to pick him up, that's when she wouldn't let me bring the baby to California. And she said that the baby had already been with her for so long, and that it was the best for him to stay there with her. And I remember she told me, who's going to take care of the baby while you're working? And I told her, well, I have my family to support me, and in any, other thing, I also, I can put the baby on daycare. And she kind of manipulated my mind to make me believe that a judge wasn't going to be okay with a baby being in daycare, because she made me think like it was illegal for the baby to be in daycare if there was someone else in the family that was able to watch him.
So
And notice how
I
it was
hope you
always
guys are
her
paying
that reached
attention.
out
Yeah.
to see the
I want
baby.
you
It was
guys to
never
pay.
him. He never really showed interest. I'm sorry. We keep cutting each
That's
other
okay.
off.
I want you guys to pay attention to this. This is very, very important, because now it's not the father who's doing all of this manipulating. It's his mother.
Yeah.
It's the mother, right, Jennifer? And
And it gets
this
worse.
is the part that gets me. I think that he's also a victim. That's just my opinion. I think he's also a victim of her. He has to play along to keep getting what he's getting. And she's telling Fernanda, I want you guys to think about this before anyone decides they want to try to judge. Think about this. She's being told, you don't have money. You don't have what it takes to raise this baby. We have more money. She's using her status to make it seem as if Fernanda is not good enough for her own child.
Yeah.
What the heck, right? So you think, what is she to do? Okay, so interpret a lot of that, Karen, for your family.
Ok, so hubo ocasiones en donde Fernanda sí permitió que la mamá de el papá del niño tuviera el bebé con ella. Fernanda decidió perdonarlos por todo lo que había pasado anteriormente con ellos, y pensó que era bueno que el bebé también conviviera con la familia de ellos. Pero llegó a un punto donde la mamá del papá del niño ya no quiso que el bebé estuviera con ella, diciéndole, tú no puedes apoyarlo, tú no lo puedes hacer sola, ocupas que alguien te ayude. ¿Quién te va a cuidar al niño cuando tú estés trabajando? Cualquier razón que Fernanda daba, like, mi familia me puede ayudar, lo puedo poner en un daycare que me lo cuiden mientras trabajo. Ella sacaba una excusa por no regresarle el bebé a Fernanda.
So I want us to go a little further now. All right. So Fernanda is in a situation where you allowed the baby to go with her twice because she didn't prove anything. So when you finally went back to Texas, because she's had the baby and you're continuing trying to get the baby, what happened when you did go back to Texas? This is very key. And I want you guys to pay attention, because this is the turning point in her story. What happened when you went back?
Okay, can I mention something too that I didn't mention that time that I flew to Texas to get the baby? When I saw my son, he had scratches on his face, and the dad had said that it was because the baby wouldn't listen to him. And I do have some messages too as proof, where he will tell me, if he's not listening to you, you gotta hit him. And if you don't do it hard, you gotta do it hard enough. So all his anger or whatever he was going on with, I feel like with his girl, or if the baby did something wrong, he will take his anger on the baby. Like, what father does that? So after I wasn't able to take him to California, I flew back and I told my family, what was going on. And they told me, like, that's not right. You need to go and get him, because there's nothing that detains you from getting the baby. And when I tried going back, I had restraining orders on me so I wouldn't get close to the baby, because the lady said it was unhealthy for the baby to be with me. And then she started saying that me and my family, we were, illegal people, and we were all involved in the cartel, and that we traffic, drugs from state to state.
Fernanda, pero regrésate en el punto en cuando tú fuiste y te forzaron a firmar los giving them rights.
So she has been saying that me and my family were involved in the cartel since that happened, since October, since 2022. So, I got those papers, I got the restraining orders sent to my house, and a couple weeks later, I got some court documents, saying that she wanted custody of the baby. So I had talked to an attorney from Texas, and I explained a little bit the situation, and he told me that, if I had a job, if I had a home, and I could like support my baby, and he also said if I didn't do drugs, then there was no reason for the baby to be taken away. So I flew to Texas, to look for the attorney. 1 week before we had court, and when I was here, they found out that I was here in Texas, and the mother said, "Why don't you come over to my house? Let's talk this out. We we don't need to go to court. That's gonna be a lot of money. You don't have that amount of money." Um, and she also mentioned again that I wasn't able to support my child, that a judge wasn't going to give me custody because I didn't have as much money as they had. And of course, I was just 19. You know, I was still so little. Like, you can't compare a 19-year-old girl with a 50-year-old woman that has her whole life figured out.
Exactly.
And she manipulated me, and she said, if I wouldn't sign the papers, she was going to deport my family because she knew where all my family lived. And this is when baby daddy, he came in, and he was choking me, and he was pulling my hair. And in that moment, like, I thought I wasn't gonna get out of that house alive if I wouldn't do what these people were asking me. I was scared. I was afraid. And they took me to their attorney's office. And I remember when I was signing the papers, like, tears were coming out. And the attorney, she didn't care. Of course, they didn't care. And when we drove back home, they kicked me out of the house, and I had no shoes on. And she also made me believe that I was going to be able to take him home with me. And she lied to me, and she said, no, we talked to our attorney, and an attorney said that is unhealthy for the baby to go with California with you because he's so used to being like here with us.
Wow. I can only imagine, or no, I can't imagine what that had to feel like, Fernanda, to sign these papers. Now, I know that you've done your investigative work, Jennifer. These papers that she signed, can you talk to us a little bit about what that was?
It was just the motion. It was establishing parent-child relationship, basically like an agreement in regards to custody and who's going to make decisions over the child. And what they forced her to do was, initially it was that she would get visitation. And, I mean, if you think as a 19-year-old child that has been abused for several years, then, you go into this fight or flight response, and you're going to do what you need to do to protect yourself. So she signed them, and she was never able to go to court. So something changed. I guess they had changed they had filed something in the court to actually change from her getting visitation to her having no rights at all. And she did what a good mother would do, and took advantage of the opportunity when they told her that she could see her child, and she got her child and took her child to Mexico.
So let's talk there. Let's start there. Okay. I know this is hard to believe, so I want you guys to breathe, right? If you're just tuning into the Ella Johnson Show, Fernanda is telling her story of what happened to her in this domestic violence and how that went over into her child. So I want her now, as best as you can. As a matter of fact, I want you to tell this part of it after this quick break. I want you to kind of recover a little bit, Fernanda, because when we come back, she's going to talk about what happened when she did finally get a chance to get her son. We'll be right back after this quick little video, guys.
On the Ella Johnson Show, we believe that where there's a will, God always makes a way. And we believe that God will make a way to reunify you with your son, Braylon. Braylon, we love you. God bless you. God bless your family on this day from the Ella Johnson Show.
All right. I know you guys didn't know that I was going to do that, but you sent me those pictures. We had to do something. Isn't he just a handsome little boy? Listen, I truly believe, and I know that you guys are believers as well, Fernanda. And I want to take this time to encourage you. You're a young woman, but you have a big heart. You're a giant on the inside. And God is going to fix this. You believe? Yes. You told me today you believe. Then you stand on that. You stand on the word. You put pressure on the word, not people. And God is going to turn this around. All right. So that was just my token for you and for your family that's watching to show that we celebrate Braylon on this broadcast tonight. So now I want you to talk about when you finally had him back with you. What did you do?
Okay, so after the papers were signed, because on the papers it said that I had rights to see the baby every 3 months to bring him home to California with me. And every time like I will request to see the baby, she will deny my request. On one occasion I was already on my way to Texas to pick him up, to see him, yeah. And I remember I called the dad and I told him, I was going up there and if he can tell me what size of shoe the baby wore. And he said that if I go up there, he was going to call the cops on me because it wasn't visitation time. And a friend was coming with me too, and he told a friend that if he also talked to the friend and said that if we showed up, he was going to kill my friend too. And I had to return back to California. And then on January, I asked to see the baby again, and the lady told me that she wasn't gonna let me see the baby, bring him to California, because I lived around pedophiles. That's what this lady had said. I was living on my own, and in that time, I wasn't renting a $3,000-$4,000 house. I was paying what I was able to afford back then.
Absolutely.
I remember, I spent a lot of money on the house, painting it, putting grass on it, buying furniture and everything. And, she still said no, that it wasn't healthy for the baby because he was in danger in the house. And she said that she wasn't going to let me take the baby to California until I moved out of that house, which I did. I ended up moving to another house. And, 2 months after that, the papers that we had signed, we had agreed that I was going to be able to take the baby to Mexico with my mom. It said on the papers, and she lied to me, and she had told me that his passport didn't came in. So, there was really nothing that I was able to do there. And then a month later, I asked again to see the baby, and she told me, she was like, what if I buy you your dream car or a house, like, and just forget about the baby?
Oh.
And it was not the first time that she has offered me money over like losing my rights over the baby. And of course I didn't accept because I love my child. And I had told her, that if she kept denying my request, I was going to talk to her attorney because she was violating my rights, and that wasn't okay. And that's when she finally accepted for me to see the baby. And, okay, traduce esto. En mi desesperación de no estar con mi hijo, yo no sé, pensé que tal vez ya no me lo iba a volver a prestar otra vez. Lo extrañaba mucho. Yo quería estar con él, verlo crecer. Tomé la decisión de irme a México con mi bebé y mi mamá.
She said she was so desperate to be with her child, and she was so scared that she was never going to see her son again, that when she got the opportunity, she took him and she left. And it's not a case where she lost her rights. CPS didn't get involved and take her rights from her. Law enforcement didn't take her rights from her. A judge didn't take her rights from her. These people beat her and forced her to sign over her rights. So she did what a mother would do.
I would have done that. In a heartbeat. I would have done that. Absolutely. I applaud you, Fernanda. That took a lot of courage, sweetheart.
I just wanted to be with my child. And
right.
I do remember one time she told me that not because I gave birth to that baby, that makes me a mom. Like, in her head, she has always been like the mom. Like, she thinks she gave birth to this child. Like, I'm nothing to them. I don't mean nothing to them.
Well, we know that's not true. That's not true. This baby needs you. And before the broadcast tonight, we prayed. We prayed together, right? And I believe in the power of prayer. And I know the people watching this broadcast also. We're all touching and agreeing on this one thing. So I want you to talk about, because it doesn't stop there, guys. It doesn't stop there. So now she took the baby. What happened next, Fernanda?
I took, I went down there, and of course I didn't talk to these people for a couple months. And then the dad, he got a hold of me, and he called me crying, saying that he was so sorry for everything that they have done to me, that it wasn't fair for me to do this to him, that he really missed the baby and he wanted to see the baby. So, I was like, well, I'm in another country, I don't think they will do something to harm, me or the baby. So I agreed for him to come down, and I was the one who actually bought his tickets to go to visit the baby and to go back. And we went to my tia Diana's house, and my family, okay, traduce esto. Mi familia, cuando Dallas fue a la casa, mi tía Diana, todos lo tratamos como si fuera de la familia, a pesar de todo lo que él me había hecho. Lo tratamos de que se sintiera como que si él estuviera en casa.
She said despite everything that they did to her family, her aunt Diana, they welcomed him in their home, and they treated him as though he was still family.
¿Quieres mencionar algo de cuando Dallas fue a México?
Pues cuando vino, pues me encargué de hacerle saber de que tenía su casa aquí en Colima conmigo, con la familia del niño, que podía venir cuando él quisiera, que tenía las puertas abiertas y que era bien recibido.
She opened her home to him and told him, you're welcome. This, like, my house is your house anytime you want to come. And, you know, she assured him that the baby was being taken care of, and the baby was, I mean, obviously, you know, it should be with the mother as well.
So
And
I want to go ahead.
no, yeah, and I remember that he told me over the phone, he was like, you know, I don't care if he's in Mexico. I just want to see him, and I want to make sure that he's okay. Like, I don't have a problem. That's just what he told me on the phone. I don't have a problem with him being over there. I just want to make sure that he's saved. That's what he had told me on the phone.
But he was sending messages also saying stuff like, the baby's dead, isn't he? You killed him.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah, that
Really?
happened after. So that happened after, yeah.
Wow.
You know, and he was there in Mexico for about 5 days, and when he returned back to Texas, he started texting my tía Diana. ¿Quieres comentar de los mensajes que te mandó Dallas?
Sí, bueno, me gustaría hacer un comentario. Cuando él estuvo aquí, que salimos a que conociera Colima, él me hizo un comentario, bueno, le hizo un comentario a Fernanda para que me dijera que él se imaginaba que todas las personas de aquí éramos indígenas, que por qué no andábamos vestidos con guaraches y la ropa que se veía en las películas, o sea, como la típica vestidura de la gente indígena. Y ya yo le digo que no eran esos tiempos de antes, o sea, que somos personas civilizadas, que eso sucedió hace pues muchos años, que la gente no se vestía así, que sí podía haber gente vestida así, porque era la temporada de la Virgen de Guadalupe que celebramos o celebran la gente católica aquí en México. Le dije, sí, vas a ver en el centro, en la catedral, hay mucha gente porque hace un novenario para la Virgen, pero no nos vestimos así. Entonces, bueno, él, su familia, como que tienen una idea de México que somos, o sea, nos discriminan porque piensan que no estamos civilizados, o sea, tienen un estigma sobre nosotros muy fuerte. Y bueno, cuando él se fue, después él le prometió a Fernanda que no iba a pisar la cárcel. Le dijo, yo no voy a dejar que tú pises la cárcel, te lo prometo. En cuanto Fernanda se fue, después de eso a Estados Unidos, lo primero que pasó fue que la detuvieron y cayó en la cárcel. Yo le mandé mensajes a él para preguntarle por qué había hecho eso, él, su familia, qué estaba pasando. Y lo que me contestó, que la ley estaba haciendo lo que tenía que hacer y que nosotros éramos una familia asquerosa, todos, que éramos una familia asquerosa, y que cuando su niño creciera, él le iba a decir quiénes éramos nosotros, y que su niño iba a ser un niño del cártel, porque siempre está con eso, que iba a ser un niño del cártel, que éramos asquerosos, y que él le iba a contar toda la verdad a su niño. Y fue así.
She just said that he said that they were that when he went to visit Mexico, that he had this idea that there were like indigenous people or like uncivilized, that there were like, you know, like the old women walking around with 10 kids and barefoot and no education, and like they just have this idea of what Mexicans are like, him and his family. And when she spoke to the dad, he had swore up and down like he was gonna make sure that nothing bad happened to Fernanda, and that you know, she didn't go to jail for getting her kid back. And the first thing that happened is they again manipulated her into coming back into the United States, and she crossed into the United States and she was arrested. They tried to file kidnapping charges on her. because she was afraid, and again, she hasn't had a chance to tell her story, but she didn't show up to court. She wasn't educated. She didn't have anybody to help her that was knowledgeable, and the court appointed attorneys. We know how that can go sometimes.
Yeah.
So she didn't have a lot of support on that end, and she was arrested for interference with child custody when she came back into the U.S. It was last year, right? Or it was in January?
Yeah, last year.
Last year. And then
I want you guys to take a look at this. This is what was posted.
Yeah.
This was posted when he was taken. And it mentions in this write-up that they believe that the baby was with the non-custodial mother, Fernanda.
But again, for the record, the reason that she was non-custodial parent is because these people beat her and forced her to sign over her rights, not because her kid was taken from her.
Right. Absolutely. That's very important. That is
because
very
she has
important.
not been deemed unfit as a parent. If
right.
anything,
Absolutely.
She has been she's doing what she's supposed to do.
Absolutely.
To get her kid back.
So I want you guys to show this because I want you to unpack this right here. This little video. Fernanda.
And they copied and pasted the judge's signature, which I believe that's not legal. They flew into Mexico and they paid off Mexican officials to go and bust down this home and take the child out of the home away from her family. And they went in with guns drawn and took the kid.
So as you watch that, Fernanda, I really want to know what's going on with you when you see that, because you were at work, you were going back and forth into California to try to make money, to take care of your baby like a mother would do. And the baby was home with your mom when this happened. Explain what you felt when your mom called you screaming about what was going down at home.
Okay, I remember that day, because me and my baby would FaceTime every day with my tia Diana. We would always do it like a three-way FaceTime. And I remember that day, I FaceTime him when he was out of school, and we were talking and everything. And I remember he was eating a. I'm gonna say this in Spanish so my aunt can understand too. Voy a hablar del día cuando esta gente fue a la casa. Braylon se había salido de la escuela y yo y él hicimos videollamada, y me acuerdo que él se estaba comiendo un pedacito de pan y me dijo, Fernanda, me dice, mamá Fernanda, te voy a guardar para cuando vengas. Y me acuerdo que esa vez, pues, mi tía no contestó la llamada. Y como una hora después que yo terminé de hablar con mi hijo, mi tía me llama, veo que me está regresando la llamada. Y yo dije, tal vez me va a decir que estaba ocupada en el gimnasio, por eso no pudo contestar. Y mi tía me llama gritando y me dice, Fernanda, van por el niño, se lo van a llevar y está mucho gobierno. Están y tienen la casa rodeada con gente armada. Cuando esa gente llegó a la casa, estaban apuntando pistolas en toda la casa con mi mamá. Y en ese momento, cuando ella me habló, no sé, pensé que estaba soñando, no pensé que esta gente iba a llegar a tanto, y se me bajó la sangre a los pies, sentí que la vida se me iba. Y lo primero que hice, dejé todo y fui para estar con mi mamá, fui a México y pues yo llegué, mi mamá estaba triste, estaba muy, muy triste.
She said that they surrounded her house, her mom's house with the guns were pulled, and that she was FaceTiming with the baby, and her son told her, I'm gonna call you back in a little bit. I'm gonna save you a piece of the cookie that he was eating, and that a little bit came, and she got a call back, but it wasn't it wasn't her son this time. It was her aunt screaming, they took your kid, and you can actually see in the videos the child's father and the grandmother there taking the kid. Like, what parent, what person would allow something like this to happen to their child? And Fernanda talked to her mom, and she dropped everything and went and took off back to Mexico. But they had already, ya cuando planearon de que ya se iban, they had already arranged everything to get the baby out of there as soon as possible. There's no doubt that his mother and paid off Mexican officials to help them do what they need to do, because it's not a third world country, and that's not how things go. They have a criminal justice system as well, but that's what
Karen,
they do.
what did you think when you saw that? How did that make you feel, dear, when you saw that?
Were you asking my aunt?
Karen.
No, Karen.
Oh, it was very heartbreaking to hear about it. Actually, Fernanda had a dream about this, like a few weeks prior to it actually happening.
Ooh.
And she asked me, do you think I should go? Do you think I should go to Mexico to be with my baby? But we were trying to get everything figured out, trying to save up enough money for her to get a lawyer to help her with the situation. So she chose to stay. And it was very heartbreaking to hear that they had taken the baby. And it actually angered me in the way that they did it. I believe it was probably very traumatizing for the baby, for them to be banging on the door and just this chaos. And for him to be taken away from his home. He had been there in Mexico. He was already going to school, and suddenly all that was taken away from him.
So what date was that when they took Braylon? What date was that?
February 18th of this year, 2025.
Have any of you seen him since that day?
No, I do want to mention something. When they took the baby, when the lady was in my mom's house, the lady told my mom that she was apparently, sorry for what she had done to me. And she promised my mom she was going to remove the charges and everything of what she lied to the police. And like, they made me believe that everything, was going to be okay. And I do have those messages as proof. When the baby daddy tells me, I promise you, we're not going to leave the country without you and your family seeing the baby. And they manipulators, they lied to us. I don't know nothing about the baby since that last time that me and the baby faced him. It's been 3 months, and I don't know nothing. I don't know how he's doing. I don't know how they're communicating, because the baby only spoke Spanish and these people are white. I don't know nothing, and it hurts me because I know he asks for me. I know he says, "Where's my mom?" Call my mom, because he had a tablet. He was always calling me on there. And what these people are doing is just giving him toys or buying him food, or like I don't know what they're doing to the baby. And it hurts me because I know that they're gonna tell the baby that we're some criminals or we're the worst people, when it's not like that.
I want you guys to take a look at these photos. The very first photo there is a picture of Braylon with you. And then we see you with the baby daddy, and then we see the baby daddy with him. When you see this, because I know you told me that this picture in the middle is the picture of when you were 16 and you met him. That looks like it's in the barracks. So talk to me when you see these photos, what comes to mind, Fernanda?
Can you repeat the question? Sorry.
When you see those photos, what comes to mind? What does that mean? How does it make you feel when you see those photos?
The picture of me and him, like being in the barracks, you know, it brings back all those memories of what I went through when I lived there. And the other picture, it hurts to see the baby, how scared he is of the father. You can clearly see like the difference when he's with me and when he's with the father. The father is not, he was not good to him. He was violent to him. And the baby saw all that. Well, he was growing up when I was still with him, and that hurts me.
You can see it in his eyes.
Yeah.
The change.
And I took that picture, and you can see he was like reaching his arms so I could hold him because he didn't want to be next to his dad.
Yeah. What happened to you is, I'm sure, very devastating. You haven't seen him. You don't know where he is. What can she do, Jennifer, at this point? Because I know that there's an open case, right? There's an open court. It's a mess, I know. But what can Fernanda do to get her closer to see him? Like, she has to have rights. She didn't lose her parental rights, right? Or did she?
She didn't. She hasn't yet. The irony of life. I was actually in Mexico, in one of the border towns, and I was at Home Depot buying building material, and I was struggling. I was by myself with my 5-year-old, and this couple came over to me and asked me if I needed help, and said yeah. So they helped me fix the stuff on the back of the truck and introduced themselves, and we became friends, which it's actually Fernanda's aunt and uncle, another aunt and uncle. We became friends, and every once in a while her aunt would send me messages on WhatsApp like, hey, how's it going? And I'm so busy, I just sometimes I would forget to respond or whatever. I would just be like really short, like, hey, how's it going? And then I was taking my daughter to a dentist appointment, and I ran into these people again. And I hadn't seen them since the first time I saw them at Home Depot. We hadn't talked or anything. And we were having a conversation, and, we talked more about what I did. And they had said, they were telling me about Fernanda, and that, they had just went and like busted her family's door down and tried to take her and took her child. So that's how I got in contact with Fernanda. And, unfortunately, because of the lack of education on domestic violence, she didn't even know that she was,
Exactly.
that she had endured domestic violence.
She's not the only one. There are a lot of people that don't know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, I assured her that I was going to help her in any way possible. And, she knew that she had a warrant out. She was, there is an active warrant for interference with child custody. And, I told her that I wasn't going to let her go through this alone. And I promised her family too that I was going to do everything I could to be with her. And that's what I've done. Fernanda has returned back to the United States, and she's doing what she needs to do to get her child back. She has come a long way, and I don't cry, but I'm like, I don't know, I think something is in the air today, but it's we spent a very long time in a car together, Fernanda and I, and I don't think that she realized the trauma that she had endured, and I don't think that even I did, because You know, it's one thing when you hear somebody over the phone just saying like, hey, they took my kid, to like hearing all of these things that a person's gone through. But, you know, she has a good family, and you know, her heart is in the right place, and she's doing what she needs to do to get her child back. And, you know, like I told her, don't forget why you're fighting, because it's going to be a long process. And, you know, I actually published an article about 2 months ago. I think it was right before she came back into the US. Did publish an article on the story, and the individuals, the son and the mother, that were given the opportunity to respond to the allegations against them, to which they did not. But yeah, she's doing what she can do. And you know what, the best advice that I can give to anybody is, you know, keep fighting and find somebody that's going to listen, because, you know, there's gonna, like, there are people like me in the world that will listen and that do want to help.
Absolutely.
And that don't have an ulterior motive, you know.
Right.
And I think sometimes,
I know your heart is definitely in the right place, Jennifer. You've been doing this for a long time. You're an advocate of this, and the best thing that she can have is you in her corner. And she's very grateful for that. We talked a lot about that today, Fernanda. And I also told you that this was going to be a long road. It was going to be, but I told her that you have to definitely keep your mental strong. You have to continue to pray. You guys are good people. You know, your family, you trust God, you love God. He's not going to let you down. You know, some things, remember at the beginning of my broadcast, in my introduction, it says sometimes things don't happen to you. They happen through you.
Yeah.
So through you, you're going to change lives. So don't look at it that this is happening to you. Look at this as it's happening through you. That's the best advice I can give you. But I do want to make sure, Jennifer, that we kind of talk a little bit about domestic violence, because we want to give you guys some stats. We want to let you know what abuse looks like, so that you don't have to be one of these people that think it's love. Remember at the beginning of the show, I said that we think it's love, but it's really control. So some of the things, and I got this off the internet, Jennifer, that talks about how you know when you're in an abusive relationship. When you're being embarrassed and made fun of. That's one of the things. Put down accomplishments. Your accomplishments are put down. They make it seem like, oh, that's no big deal. They tell you that you're nothing without them. They call you repeatedly to see where you are. They pressure you sexually. They treat you roughly, grab you, push you, hit you. Sounds like all of these things, Fernanda, you went through. They make you feel that there's no way out of this relationship. They make you feel that you're unable to make decisions. And then they prevent you from doing things that you want. So that's just a couple of things here that I found that I want to share with people, because so many people, I hear them talk, girl, he is just crazy about me. He gets crazy. I can't do this. I can't do anything. And we think that's cute. That's
because we're taught that from a young age. I mean, think like in elementary school, right? Like the little boy hit the little girl. What was that? Oh, well, he likes you.
Yeah.
So you grow up thinking, oh, okay, well, you know, he beat my ass. He loves me.
Yeah.
But that's not love. And you know, even, I mean, we could talk about the physical, right? But the emotional aspect can be very hard to identify, because abusers, they'll make you start feeling like you're crazy. You know, like you're
the problem. They gaslight you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, you know, in her case, it's not just him, it's the mother as well. And unfortunately, you know, as you said earlier, you know, maybe he's been victimized as well, which probably is very much the case. However, we all have a choice at the end of the day, and we all know right from wrong.
Absolutely.
We know right from wrong. Like, he is a grown-ass man. And I mean, we know right from wrong. He knew what he was doing.
Absolutely. I really want you guys, y'all see the message that's scrolling on the bottom of the screen there. If you know someone or you are a victim of domestic violence, let's not stay silent. Let's not suffer in silence. Let's not feel embarrassed. Let's not want to keep people out of our business. And those of you that see it, stay in their business. Don't just be those people that I see it, but I'm not going to say anything. But I want you to call the hotline, 1-800-799-SAFE, guys. We have to do something. Yeah.
You can also put my phone number on there. If you, I know, the National Domestic Violence Hotline, it's
overwhelming.
It can be overwhelming, and it can just feel like you're running to dead end wall. And I don't ever want anybody to feel like they can't get help because they were just provided with a list of resources. Like if you are in a situation that you need help, I will go above and beyond. And it doesn't, Fernanda will tell you, like, it doesn't matter where you are. I mean, I
know. You don't have to tell me. I know you, girl. Listen, so do me a favor, Jennifer. Like afterwards, put your number in the chat so that people will know how to reach you, because I appreciate you for bringing yourself and making yourself available. That's good. That's love. I appreciate it. But I want you guys to know there are safe ways to seek support. I saw this on the internet, and you can tell me, Jennifer, if it still exists. But they said that some of the safe ways to seek support without alerting your abuser, they have what they call this emergency warning system, and it's in pharmacies and grocery stores. What is that all about?
I have not seen those. I don't know.
Okay.
I'll have to look into that because I'm not familiar with those.
I mean, I think it's a great idea because we have to find a way, because most people, if I see you out in public and you're looking at me and you blink or something, I've watched enough TV to know that means something. You're not just blinking at me because you don't have anything else to do. You don't think
I know there's some,
you're trying to give me a message.
People would call the pizza hotline or would call 911 and ask for pizza and stuff. But I think it really depends on the situation.
Because they may catch on.
Yeah.
And then you end up dead. Yeah. So I've seen those. I saw them on the internet where somebody did do that, and the operator picked up on what was going down. Yeah. And it can save your life, but you do have to have a plan. And that's why talking to people like Jennifer, people who specialize in this type of stuff, you want to help them. You want to talk to them so they can help you get a plan, because you do need to make a plan. My cousin didn't have a plan. My cousin did not have a plan. My cousin is gone now. She just thought he would never do this. And that's what people think. And the family didn't even know that she was having an issue. She just thought she could handle it. So this guy one day decided to choke my cousin and hold her up off of her feet, right? And then when he finally let her go, her brain was swollen. I saw her like 2 days before that. You never know. Don't take it for chance. My cousin didn't have a chance. She didn't make it out. But I am going to be committed to make sure that those of you that watch this broadcast do have a choice, right?
And people think, I do want to add something. People think, like the most dangerous time is being in the relationship, but the really the most dangerous time is when you're trying to leave. That is when people are that's when a lot of homicide occurs. So it is very important to have a plan and to have a support system. There is nothing to be ashamed of, because it can happen to anybody.
Anybody.
It does not discriminate. It doesn't, education, money, like it does not matter. There are a lot of people that go through domestic violence situations.
So Jennifer, I want you to say to the family, or Fernanda, whichever one of you guys, say to the family that I appreciate them for tuning in, and that this show is dedicated to them, to Braylon, to my cousin, and to everyone who is suffering in silence right now. But I just wanted to let them know this is my heart, my love. They're welcome to the Ella Johnson Show. Anytime that you want to come here and share more, you're welcome. So please tell them that for me.
Que dice cuando gustes regresar, que aquí está su plataforma, que con mucho gusto va a estar recibida. Y que esto es algo muy especial para ella, para para enseñar a la gente o para que la gente sepa de estos casos, pero en especialmente el caso de Braylon, de ustedes, que para ellos es algo muy importante, muy especial y que su corazón está con ustedes y con su familia.
Gracias. Gracias por este apoyo, por este espacio en esta plataforma, confiando en que va a tener mucha visibilidad y que va a llegar a las manos, a los oídos correctos y se pueda lograr un poco de justicia. Ojalá la abuela del niño reflexione sobre toda esta situación y lo devuelva a su madre, porque ella, por mucho que lo quiera, no es su hijo, solamente es su abuela. Y el niño está sufriendo la ausencia de su madre, le están haciendo mucho daño emocional y psicológico, y esperemos que el niño pueda volver con su madre, con su familia, con nosotros que también lo queremos, lo amamos, lo adoramos. Y gracias a ambas por este espacio, de verdad.
She
Gracias.
said, thank you so
I
much.
didn't hear anything but gracias. De nada.
She said, thank you so much. And she has faith and she hopes that, that the grandmother will see this and will have a change of heart and understand that she is not that child's mother and that the child needs to be with his mom, not with the grandmother.
Absolutely.
And to also know, like, we're not gonna give up. I'm not gonna give up, and I'm not gonna let Fernanda give up.
That's right.
She's a fighter, and I
can tell.
As much as possible, like, don't forget why you're doing this, and
That's right.
Fernanda,
I want you to have last words, dear, because we're getting ready to get out of here. This show will air tomorrow. The rebroadcast will at 3:00 Eastern, 2:00 Central. So, but we're here live now. So, Fernanda, what would you like to say to, if you were looking at Braylon right now, look in that camera, and I want you to talk to your baby, what are you going to say to him?
I want to say that I love you and that I'm not going to stop fighting until you're back home with me. And I'm going to do everything it takes for the truth to come out. And don't ever forget, I'm not going to give up on you. I won't.
Amen. Jennifer, last words. What do you have to say before we get out of here? Oh, girl, you're going to have me crying and my lash is going to come off on live.
Oh my God, you're burning up.
Hey, I only got one layer of glue on these things. One tear coming off. Oh my God.
I think that people like Fernanda don't realize the impact that they have on our lives.
I know.
They have expressed their gratitude for me. And they have praised me a lot, but I don't think they realize, like,
yes,
I feel privileged that they instilled their trust in me, and
you instilled trust in me. So thank you, Jennifer. Trust in me with this story. Thank you.
And I appreciate that, so much. And for anybody that is struggling, whether it's you're still in the situation or you're not, it's never too late to get out. And no matter what anybody says, the only limits that life has on it are the limits that we tell ourselves, because I've seen a lot of lives changed, and I've been a part of a lot of lives that have been changed, and it's just a beautiful thing. And again, if anybody, and whether it's domestic violence or CPS, which we need to talk about that one in a little bit, whatever the case is, anything that I can help with, don't hesitate to reach out, because that's what we're here for, and no judgment whatsoever.
Absolutely, no judgment on this show either. No judgment. Yeah, let's go ahead. I want everybody to take a look at this as well, because I do know that this is going to help Fernanda. If you're watching this broadcast and you feel led to help her in her with her case and in her fight for custody of Braylon, please, if God moves you to give, please go to this GoFundMe that's here, GoFundMe-BE2F07C8. So you'll be able to look on the broadcast here, write this down. But let's put this in the chat as well so people can click on it. Whatever you have to give, little, small, it all is a blessing and appreciated. So if you guys can definitely take heed and let God use you to be a blessing to Fernanda, it is appreciated. Okay. So what was that thing you wanted to say about CPS? Because we're going to get out of here in like 2 minutes.
Oh, you want me to tell you now? There's I went to a court date with a CPS case the other day, and they terminated say domestic violence situation. Girl was not educated on domestic violence, and CPS went and took her kid, and they terminated her rights about a month ago. And it's just
So what do you mean they terminated her rights because she was involved in a domestic violence situation? But she wasn't the abuser.
No, she was a victim.
Oh my gosh. So did she report? Did she make any police reports?
Not initially. She didn't know that she was a victim of domestic
violence.
She didn't know.
There should have been more though. You mean they just terminated her rights just like that?
They falsified.
Here we go.
Child Protective Services actually they falsified court documents, and that'll probably be your next show.
Well, we're here for it, like for real. I just want it to end. I want us to be equipped with knowledge about domestic violence and how to fight. So that sounds like a school for you, Jennifer. I'm just saying, or a show or a podcast. I don't know, just some ideas, right? But I love you, girl. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for coming here tonight. I appreciate you always. You're always welcome. You're like a cousin to the show. So we appreciate you. Thank you, Diana, for being here tonight. I know you have no idea what I'm saying, but muy bonita. Muy bonita. Gracias.
Gracias.
What else? Love. How do I say? Mi amor. Mi amor.
My love. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's all I got.
I don't think I put the number in the thing right. Sorry.
Yeah, you can always do it afterwards. You can, when you watch the show, just type it in. And Fernanda, thank you. Thank you so much, dear. You made it. You made it through tonight, right? I told you you could. You did it.
Yes, I also want to thank you for having me on your show. And like my aunt said, hopefully this can get to someone out there, to help me on my case.
Let's share it everywhere. That's what
Jennifer,
we do.
Thank you too. Like you've been an angel that God sent me. Thank you for everything that you have done to me and for helping me out. Like you heard me. Like you heard my story and you've been here supporting me, and I don't know what I would have done without you. Thank you. And thank you to you too, Hila.
Oh, that's so sweet. Aw.
Wow.
Right. We could be here all night, guys. All right, listen, I want to thank you all so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. Like I said, we'll be back next week with more domestic violence shows. I have people that want to come here and trust the Ella Johnson Show and feel like it's a safe place. So if you're watching this broadcast and you would like to tell your story here, we're here. But we'll see you next week, same time, right here on the Ella Johnson Show, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Central. We'll see you next time. Thanks. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Ella Johnson Show. We'll see you next time.
We are supporters of the Ella Johnson Show. We live in South Korea. We have been watching Ella Johnson Show for like a year now. And we love her show. Her show is very inspirational, motivational, and educational.
If you would like to be a guest on The Ella Johnson Show, send an email to theellajohnsonshow@gmail.com or send a text message to 407-334-6997.
We love Ella Johnson Show.